What's up, everybody? I just want to make this video really quick, just in case anyone was actually looking to get into the field of becoming a logger. And I'm doing this because logging, in my opinion, is a dying profession, meaning there isn't new blood coming into the industry. It's really hard to logging outfits don't like to give people a chance that have no experience. It's really fast paced, and it's like they don't have the time to teach new people. So I hope that I can help new people get into the industry, put them one step ahead. Nowadays, logging is mostly done with heavy equipment. Very, very little is done outside of a piece of equipment. So ultimately, you're just a heavy equipment operator. And first and foremost, you have to take care of your piece of equipment. I'll explain the equipment in better detail later, because just starting out, you're really not gonna need to know all of it up front. It's best to learn things little by little, master them as they come, and then move on to the next thing. But to just starting out, you know nothing about nothing. I'm gonna try my best not to use logger terminology. It'll just confuse you. I'm gonna try my best not to refer to the equipment solely by its model number or something, because that won't make sense either. It'll just confuse you. With that being said, first and foremost, you're a heavy equipment operator. This piece of equipment here is not mine, but I've been entrusted with it. So I take care of it like it's my own. You check your oil every day. Before you crank it, you check your oil, check your hydraulic oil. You grease your equipment every day. What I mean by greasing it is everywhere that the machine pivots. When there's metal on metal contact, there's bushings, they have little grease fittings. You grease your equipment every day. Some people might not agree with me on that, but it's considered preventative maintenance. If your equipment is down, not running, nobody's making their money. What I mean by that is most loggers I've ever worked for, I've ever seen, you get paid by what's called production. You only get paid for every truckload of logs that leaves the job. You get X amount of dollars per every load. And that's great as long as everything's running and wood's moving. That's great, you make decent money. But if something breaks and wood's not moving, you're not making no money. And let me just tell you, minimum wage don't apply to production. When I was young, like when I first started out, there was days that I pulled 10-12 hour days and I make like 40 bucks. That's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, so preventative maintenance is key. You want to impress your boss and you're new, show them that you're going to take care of that piece of equipment. That is the golden rule, is take care of your equipment. And it is fast paced, so there's not going to be time to grease it. And I'm fortunate, the guys I work for, they spend a lot of money getting everybody battery powered grease guns, because back in the day you had to have a hand pump grease gun and you'd be wore out by the time you're done greasing your piece of equipment. And then you wind up not greasing it properly because you're wore out. The first couple grease fittings you hit got plenty of grease, and then the last grease fitting that you hit, you're so wore out that it really didn't get the proper amount of grease because you're wore out. But we got nice battery powered grease guns. They're taking away all the excuses for you to not want to. But anyway, the process of okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I generally cut is considered plantation pine, meaning it was planted with the sole intention to eventually harvest it. That's plantation pine. The other kind is voluntary pine, meaning that it just grows wild. No rows, it just grows. Right? Well, with plantation pine, when you come, like, just imagine that it's just a field full of dirt. Guys go with saplings and hand plant saplings in a row. After about 8 or so years, you do what's called first thinning. You take out every 5th row of trees. And I've seen it done different at different places. Some people take every 3rd row, some people take every 4th row. In my opinion, it's best to take every 5th row. You take out that entire row of trees, and then you do what's called thinning. You take out all the bad trees, like the trees that are smaller than the rest of the trees. You're basically giving the good, straight, nice, perfect looking trees more room to grow, because most of these tracts of land they're managed by resource management companies, because timber is a renewable resource. So these companies, these resource management companies, they got it down to a science. They know what to do, when to do it, to maximize the growth of the trees. And they've even genetically engineered trees now that you get a whole extra harvest cycle in a 100-year time span, meaning previously it would take you around about 25 to 28 years to do a complete harvest. Now you can do it in like 20 to 23 years, which shaves a good 5 years off of each cycle. Meaning in 100 years, you used to could get 4 complete harvests. Now you can get 5 complete harvests. And they're doing their job. They're a resource management company. They're maximizing the value of the timber, which is great. And I would explain more in depth on how they want it thinned. They use this thing called basal area, but it's fairly difficult to explain, and you just starting out, you won't need to know none of that. The process of logging is fairly simple. There's a lot of variables in between each step, but it's pretty straightforward. One machine, which is the cutter, goes out, cuts all the trees. A second machine, the skidder, commonly in the logwoods referred to as a tractor, but the skidder grabs all those trees, drags them out of the woods up to the third machine, which is the loader. The loader processes the lumber, gets it loaded on a truck, and sends it to wherever it's going. And again, processing it, loading it, none of that would concern you as a new guy, and it would be a little too much to take in all at once. You basically just have to worry about taking care of your piece of equipment and pulling trees out of the woods to the loader. Majority of the time, there's going to be another skidder. Best thing you can do is shadow that skidder, follow them, do what they're doing, see how they do what they do, see what they can make the machine do, and then you just try to copy it. Like, that's the best thing to do. But starting out, best thing you can do is show your boss that you know to take care of the equipment. My guys had a bunch of stickers made up, and they stuck them inside the cabs of the equipment, and it says, "This piece of equipment pays your salary, or helps pay your salary. Take care of it." And that's that's true. Like, if your machine ain't running, you're not making money. I'm fortunate. The guys that I work for, it's almost like salary. We get paid by the day, but it's a flat rate. As long as we work every day, I make the same amount of money, which is great. A lot of logging companies don't do that. They get paid by production. And good days are good, bad days are really bad. And like I said, minimum wage don't apply. You liable to make $5 an hour or less if equipment ain't running. But if anyone legitimately wants to know more about the profession, I'll be glad to explain every step in better detail. Just let me know.